Hello guys, J-Man here. So, I said how I want to pretty much give my testimony. It's on Twitter. Now, my testimony, it goes insanely far. I'm talking like 25 years. So, and that is a long time to take to eventually come to Jesus Christ. Um, okay, so where to start? Where to start? I guess where my faith really started to shake was when I was around 7. Around that time, my mom and dad were having marital issues, and they both got a divorce. And these, it was being, it was a long time coming, according to both of them. So it wasn't really my fault. It's just they sort of didn't want to be together anymore. Now, before that, I was going to church every Sunday with one of my mom's friends. Uh, she would pick me up on Saturday night, take me to her place, and I'd stay the night. I'd watch various Christian media, like I would watch Veggie Tales. I would watch some sort of Bible story, um, Bible story cartoon. It was a interesting time. Now, all this was around the 90s, 2000s. My mom was not exactly a good parent. Not a good custodial parent, at least. I should rephrase that to custodial parent because she got custody. Now, what it, what did she do? Now, what she did was she would control friendships, um, and she would even basically try to enjoy life more than try to teach me how to live as an adult. Because a lot of the stuff I know how to do with adulting, like cooking, cleaning, and all that, I learned that after I pretty much moved out of my mom's place. Now, what I did was a bit later, I moved out of my mom's because in my final year of high school, my mom had a nervous breakdown and was crying about how I didn't know how to take care of myself, and she didn't know what I was gonna do or what she was gonna do or any of that sort of thing. And here's the thing: she put herself in that position herself. She decided to rest on her laurels, and she wanted to enjoy her retirement while she was the custodial parent. And there was a couple of times where she would come home drunk on a school night. Now, I don't really come forth with a lot of lore for my character because my own personal lore is a little more interesting. Because my lore ties into a lot of real world struggles. Now, living with my dad, I did actually talk with him on quite a few things. He did start up the stuff with teaching me how to take care of myself. He basically was trying to get me out of the instability that was my mom's household. And remember, this is when I was around 18 when this happened. So overall, I lived with my mom for about 11 years without anyone able to do anything. And this does tie into my personal testimony into coming to Christ, because I will say this: living with my mom, I was starting to, um, I did develop an addiction towards pornography. Um, and I was given all sorts of advice, like finding a girl for myself, to even playing the field. I don't want to play the field, honestly. I, I do want to just have a loving wife who I can actually love as well, and have kids with her, take care of her, and her to take care of me. Because the thing is, there is one aspect that I also started to gravitate towards within my mom's household. I started to gravitate towards femdom, female domination, basically. Um, and I do think I do understand the psychological aspects to it from various research. My aspect of this is that since my mom wasn't able to provide a stable enough environment for me, that I am seeking a maternal sort of feminine figure to help to provide what I missed out on as a kid. Now, this does again ties into my whole porn addiction and everything, because I have actually gotten away from porn addiction. I haven't gotten rid of um my interest in having a woman be in charge of the relationship. I have not gotten over that in its entirety, and this is probably one aspect of myself I probably won't be able to fully get rid of. Um, and it's probably one, and I don't know how to get rid of it. Honestly, I prayed about it, still haven't gotten rid of it. Um, but overall, this whole situation with my mom and my dad basically started to come to a head in probably around, well, after my dad. I lived with my dad for about a year, and then he passed away. Um, multiple family members say he was murdered. I can't definitively say that. It's mostly because of the fact that that is a truth statement, and I don't want to be on the hook for possible slander. But yeah, my dad died, and after that, lived with my aunt for a few months. After that, I moved to in with the Christian couple who are friends of my cousin. They pretty much adopted me as their surrogate son. I love that couple to death. Shout out to both of them. They know who they are. I love them to death, and I do miss them. And I was hardcore atheist at that point. I was really hardcore atheist. I believed a lot of the lies that atheists are spouting off to me right now. And I have basically gotten away from that atheist mindset around a dream where I dreamt that I was in this barren wasteland. It was completely dark. As in, there was no stars, there was no moon. This wasteland was completely dead, trees dead, fires, bonfires all around, and demonic creatures were around those those bonfires, and I was looking through the eyes of one of them. Then came a crack in the sky, and three small lights came out of a even brighter light. Or I should say, one bright light came down, shine. Either way, three lights, big light crack in the sky. Okay? And those three lights were decapitating every single demonic creature around those bonfires. And those bonfires pretty much had me decapitated every demonic creature, including myself. And I was and as my head rolled, my eyes looked up and saw that it was me that had decapitated myself. Now, this was my starting point for delving into Christianity. Afterwards, I went through the church in the state I was living in at the time. I'm not going to name the state because it's a small state, but overall, it was a neat little church. It was a neat church. I fell out of touch with everyone there, but I had a good time there. I got to be friends with one of the pastors. Actually, a couple of the pastors, now that I think about it. And they were insanely nice, insanely kind. Now, sadly, I did go into a couple of car wrecks during my time in this state. One was during my time going to a meeting with one of the pastors. I sadly got T-boned at a red light because I had the right of way. I was crossing through the green light and at the cross section, and a woman had run a red light T-boning me. Second car wreck happened almost a year later, where I basically screwed up with the being impatient. So, and that was the last car I ever drove. Now, after that car wreck, I moved back in with my mom. And this was even worse than my previous time living with her. For one, I was able to get a job. And yeah, I had a couple of jobs. First time was McDonald's. By the way, never working fast food again. Then I worked at a smaller chain, which was a lot nicer. This next time, I worked as a bagger for Kroger. It was alright. Nothing to write home about, but man, the hours were brutal. During this time, my mom was insanely worse. It was 2016. It was the time of the election. I was around 20 years old at this time. Actually, wait, 23. I was 23 years old at this time. And my mom was vehemently anti-Trump. Okay? Vehemently. Now, I was sort of trolling her because I didn't care for politics as I do now. She implied on multiple occasions that I was sexist. First, when I said I didn't want to watch the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, I saw that it wasn't my cup of tea. She said, "Oh, that's because they're women." What? Then came the whole thing with Trump and how I didn't want Hillary to be president, she said, "Oh, it's because she's a woman." Yeah, she was vote blue no matter who, and yes, she would have been canceled because she still believed in the Bible and she believed that homosexuality was a sin. Now it is. The Bible says it is. However, I she would have been canceled. That's the difference. She would have been canceled. I would monetize the cancellation, by the way. anyways. Moving away from cancel culture. Um, One day after work, this is when a lot of the course of my life changed. One day after work, she decided to drive me to Duncan, which was really, really close to my area. Really, really close to my workplace. And she pretty much tried to manipulate me to buy her donuts. Yeah. But I asked her, okay, what are we doing here? And she said, well, I thought you might want to buy your mother some donuts. And I go, you don't have any money? And she said, well, no. And I opened the door for her and let her go to the car. And and she locked the doors on me and said, you can go ahead and walk home, you cheap bastard. Like, yeah, that's the moment where I decided I needed to get out fast. And I lived with a couple of roommates in Georgia for about a year. That was a time I had my life threatened by one roommate, and we were able to figure things out. And yeah, that one roommate, he stopped very, very quickly after. But then I moved in with that roommate to where I am now, with a couple more roommates. Then one by one, those roommates started moving out. I pretty much left. I pretty much just have been living where I am. I'm sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts. This is. I'm bouncing around because I'm trying to figure things out. Okay. Now, this is still testimony. Because during my time in my current place, a couple of years ago, I got into an insane depression. And yes, up until this point, I was addicted to porn. Okay? So, I'm talking as far back as when I was 15 to a couple of years ago, to about a year ago, I was addicted to porn. Probably less than a year if I'm not being completely uncharitable, because I was doing the NSFW role plays, and I only really stopped once I started doing these journals. And those journals really have helped. They have really helped, and I thank the Lord for giving me this outlet to voice a lot of things on my mind. And this whole situation with the porn addiction, it is insane, dude. It is insane. Now, what am I... Now, a couple of years ago, it's just, I had no meaning. I was alone. Nobody was really talking to me. I haven't been able to find any sort of common ground with anyone very easily. And overall, it just hurt. And I didn't like where my life was going because I was so interested. I was so captured by porn that I didn't see anything else. Because I wanted an actual relationship. I didn't want to spend my time trying to lust after something that I could never have. And it it was horrifying. Like, is this what was all for me? Just me being alone? Me being just trying to do the just going by one day after the next, just wasting away? Like, it's those sort of ideas that really made me consider my life. And one other thing is this. Um, what exactly was I wanting out of life? Now, there are some atheists that will say that Christianity is evil. They can believe that. They can believe God is a tyrant all they want. Doesn't mean it's true. But everything that I'm trying to say is this faith pretty much is helping me. And let me put it also in perspective. I made a deal with myself, a deal that I have broken. That if I hit 30, and I didn't even have a girlfriend, I was going to end myself. Yeah, I had that sort of ideation, and it was a sad part of my walk, and everything just stopped about when I was around 30 years old. Actually, probably even a little before. Probably, but I know that I was wanting something more than just living day to day, just wasting away on porn and hobbies. Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to figure it out. And I do want to do better. I do want to try to find a job that would suit me. And I don't know what would suit me. Because a lot of places just aren't hiring right now. Yeah, they say they're hiring, but they won't hire. But they actually aren't. It's basically ghost positions. For what reason? For, I don't know. I'm guessing there's some sort of loophole where they earn more money for putting up their hiring, but they aren't actually hiring. But overall, my walk with Jesus, it's been a bumpy one. And it hasn't been exactly easy, especially in the past month or two. Because, well, there have been calls for a porn ban, and on Twitter I have laid out why it wouldn't be a good idea in the current climate. Because the fact of the matter is, banning porn is not going to fix the issues. There is a reason why people are addicted to porn. And it isn't that they are less, and it has to do more with loneliness. we have to fix the loneliness epidemic first. And that can only happen when a lot of men and women can agree that something happened, something went wrong, and we need to fix it. The reason why I'm being vague is because, well, I don't want to put all the blame on one side. I mean, I could be one of the anti-feminists saying it's all women's fault, but I could also be one of the feminists and say it's all the manosphere and incels' faults, and I go, it's just sexism in general. Just sexism in general, and sexism doesn't have just one gender. Okay? Sexism works both ways. Misogyny and misandry are running rampant. Okay? And I do not adhere to either of those mindsets. What I'm trying to say is that my testimony, I'm hoping it does help others. And I know that it isn't exactly as long as I thought it would be. I thought it would be around probably an hour, but I'm also going by a lot of other things. And if I wanted to, I could probably give more info on what my dad told me about my mom and what my mom probably actually wanted and why she had custody of me. Hint, it isn't because she cared about me. Okay? That isn't the reason why she had the custody of me. It wasn't because she wanted to be a parent. The reason my mom wanted me to be in her custody is child support. Child support. That's it. She wanted the money. The reason why I know is because my dad told me, and I trust my dad a little more. My dad has actually told me before he died that my mom once called him and asked him to take me. My dad said, "Okay, I'll take him." Just drop the child support. She hung up immediately. And that is what sealed it. My mom wanted one thing from having custody of me. That isn't to say she didn't care for me. It's just that I think she was more self-serving than anything. And I do have my aunt who told me recently that, and I don't take my aunt's word for it, to be honest. She has a history of being a pathological liar. But overall, I do think that this is in line with my mom's character. She wanted my dad to have a vasectomy before they made love, and I was in my mom's body, basically. That's or to put it bluntly, my mom was pregnant with me. My dad. This is what I heard from my aunt. Again, I don't know how much I trust that, but it is something I could imagine my mom saying if it was something of a convenience for her. But again, I don't know how true that is, and it's coming from an untrustworthy source, so I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt. Now, all things considered, I did come to Jesus, and I did go to a church, and the church did rock my faith a bit, because this was this church was really, really, I don't know how to say this nicely. I think is spiritually arrogant is one to put it mildly. Um, the head pastor and I have butted heads over a couple of things. I believe in the pre-tribulation rapture. He believed in the post-tribulation rapture. I think that the pre-tribulation rapture is valid biblically. He did not. And I'm willing to disagree on secondary beliefs like this. He was not. I also believe in free grace. He believed that there's going to be a hierarchy in heaven, which I think is unbiblical because of the fact that it says that we are not saved by works, we are saved by grace alone. Works are important to show a transformed life, to show Jesus has indeed saved us. However, we are not going to be living in a hierarchy, because that allows room for boasting. So, overall, and after the butting of heads here, I basically just went to the church one last time, said my goodbyes to everyone, and left the church and never looked back. Right now I am currently thinking about going to a church just a couple blocks away this Sunday. Not sure if my nerves will keep up, because I am constantly alone IRL. So it is insanely hard for me to actually do things like make new friends and to move about the world on my own. And imagine when my final roommate finally moves out, which should be in a couple of months. That will mean I will be completely alone IRL. I will only be going grocery shopping at that point. And if that happens, well, I'm pretty much cooked socially. Oh man, but hopefully I also get to talk with the more people online, because I will have a place of my own now then. But until then, I just pray that Jesus does help me out in life, pretty much, because I do sincerely need it. And thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a rambly little testimony, but I do appreciate everyone who tunes in. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. Peace.